It's pretty rare that a single piece of technology can completely reshape an entire nation's economy, right? Especially in less than a decade. Well, today, we're diving into a system that did exactly that. It's totally transformed how over 1 billion people in India think about and use their money. So just look at this number for a second. 640 million. What does that even mean? What if I told you that's not a country's population or some massive budget, but something that happens every single day? Yep, that's right. We're talking about daily transactions. India's Unified Payments Interface, you'll hear it called UPI, is now processing over 640 million transactions every single day. And to put that into perspective, that is more than Visa handles across the entire globe. This isn't just growth, folks. This is a full-blown financial phenomenon. Okay, so the big question is obvious. How on earth did this happen? How does a country go from being almost completely cash-based to a world leader in real-time digital payments and do it so unbelievably fast? Well, that's exactly the story we're going to unpack today. All right, to really get why UPI's rise was so meteoric, we've got to rewind the clock. Let's take a look at what things were like before it came along. And let me tell you, it was a world filled with friction, inefficiency, and just a whole lot of cash. So before 2016, India's whole payment system was just a mess. It was super fragmented. Cash was absolutely king, right? But that came with huge costs for the whole system. Sure, there were digital options, but they were clunky and hard to use. Every bank had its own separate app, and the digital wallets, they were like these little walled gardens. You could only send money to someone if they were using the exact same app as you. It was like they didn't speak the same language. There was just no universal way to move digital money around. And right into the middle of all that chaos comes this new solution. It was an idea that, on the surface, seemed incredibly simple, but underneath, it was technically brilliant. And it was all built on one single game-changing concept that really kicked off the whole UPI revolution. And that breakthrough concept was the Virtual Payment Address, or VPA. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like an email address, but for your money. Seriously. Instead of having to remember and type out these long, complicated bank account numbers and routing codes, all you need is a simple, unique ID, something like your name at bank. And that's the secret to why it's so secure too. Your actual sensitive bank details, they're never exposed during the transaction. They're safely hidden behind this simple address. And this really gets to the heart of the difference. See, before UPI, those digital wallets were closed systems. You had to physically load money onto them first, right? UPI is totally different. It's an open system built directly on top of the banks themselves. So it's not a wallet that holds your money. It's more like a key that unlocks your bank account just for a second. It lets you pay anyone using any app from any bank instantly. And that interoperability, that was the real magic ingredient. And the process itself, it's just brilliantly fast. You just scan a QR code, pop in your secret PIN to say, yep, that's me, and boom. In less than 15 seconds, the system sends the request from your bank straight to the receiver's bank. Both of you get a confirmation on your phone right away. It's totally seamless, super secure, and just ridiculously quick. So, when you have a system that's this simple and this powerful, what happens next? Well, adoption was explosive. It just snowballed into one of the biggest financial stories of the 21st century, hands down. This chart really says it all, doesn't it? That red line just shooting straight up, that's UPI's share of all retail digital payments. It's not just a player in the market anymore, it pretty much is the market. We're talking over 80% of the entire volume. It has completely, and I mean completely, redefined daily commerce in India. And the impact goes way beyond just being convenient. Think about this. By cutting down on how much physical cash is needed and all the costs that go with printing it, moving it around in armored trucks, and securing it, UPI has saved the Indian economy an estimated $67 billion since it launched. That's a huge number.
And this is where the story gets even bigger, because it's not just about money, it's about people. We're talking about financial inclusion. All of a sudden, UPI gave tens of millions of people a really compelling reason to open a bank account. By making financial services accessible on even the most basic smartphone, it brought a huge chunk of the population into the formal digital economy for the very first time. Okay, let's zoom out and put this on a global scale. At nearly 20 billion transactions a month, UPI now handles roughly half of all real-time payments on the entire planet. And like we said before, its daily volume has now blown past even global giants like Visa. This isn't just an Indian success story anymore. This is the new global benchmark. But of course, when you're operating at this kind of unprecedented scale, you're going to run into some massive challenges. In a weird way, its own success has created a whole new set of problems that the system is now trying to figure out. So if you look at it from a user's perspective, while pretty much everyone loves the system, it's definitely not perfect. You can see right here that the #1 issue is security and fraud. We're talking 73% of users who have problems are worried about this. And that's everything from phishing scams trying to trick you out of your PIN to fake QR codes. And of course, in a huge country with spotty internet in some places, things like connectivity issues and just plain old transaction failures are still a really big deal. And to handle this absolutely immense load, regulators have had to step in and make some changes. For instance, they brought in something called API rate limits. What does that mean for you? Well, it means you can now only check your bank balance 50 times a day on any one app. Now that might sound a little annoying, but it's actually a really necessary move to protect the core system from getting overloaded. It makes sure that the actual payments, the important stuff, always go through, especially when everyone's using it at once. So all of this brings us to the future. The system is pretty mature now, so there are really two huge questions that are going to define what happens next. First, how do you make it financially sustainable back home? And second, how do you take this incredible success and expand it to the rest of the world? Okay, so here's the central problem for UPI's future, the big dilemma.
The transactions are completely free for merchants. This policy is called Zero MDR, which stands for Merchant Discount Rate. It was a genius move to get everyone to start using it, but it created this huge long-term problem. Think about it. If nobody's making any money on the transactions, then who's going to pay to maintain the massive infrastructure? Who pays for all the security upgrades, the customer support, all the stuff you need to keep a system like this running? At the exact same time this is happening at home, UPI is becoming one of India's biggest exports. It's turning into a really powerful tool of soft power. And why does that matter? Well, because by offering its own homegrown, open-source tech to other countries, India suddenly gets a seat at the big table, helping to shape global digital rules. It's a real alternative to the financial tech models coming out of the West or China. And believe me, the ambition does not stop there. There are already plans in the works to expand into 4 to 6 more countries, and we're even talking about developed economies like Japan being on that list. Yep, the UPI model is officially going global. So, to make sure all of this actually happens, experts are pointing to a few key things that need to be done. First, cybersecurity has to get even stronger. That's a must. Second, you've got to get better internet out to rural areas to bring everyone into the fold. And finally, and this is the big one, they've got to figure out that zero-fee problem to create a financial model that actually works for everyone involved. Which brings us back to our final, really critical question. UPI has already proven it can build a world-class payment system, no doubt about that. But now, as it steps out onto the global stage, the real challenge is this. Can it export its incredible success without also exporting the problems that came along with it?